All right, welcome back to Student of the Gun Radio. It is a Wednesday episode of Student of the Gun Radio. Oh, man, we are already on 1071, over 1,070 episodes of this show. Can you believe that? That's cray squared for all you young Gen Z hipsters right there. Today on the show, we're going to have Brownell's Bullet Points. We're going to talk about what goes on your feeties. You're like, what? Yes, indeed. We're going to talk about, can the government keep you safe? Whose responsibility is it to keep you safe? Well, we'll find out. And are you on the list? This is interesting. And you say, well, we already talked about the list. But we haven't talked about the other one. So bear with me. I'm a professional. I know what I'm doing. All of that on today's episode of Student of the Gun Radio.
Stand by for education, enlightenment, enjoyment, and entertainment.
He's not here to talk about your feelings. He's not here to say what you want to hear. He's here to say what needs to be said.
Ladies and gentlemen, and children of all ages, please welcome your host, the pimp hand of America, Professor Paul Markle.
Yep, that's me. Here I am, the pimp hand of America. Wasn't a job I was looking for. It was one that I accepted very humbly. Can you accept the job of pimp hand humbly? Is that possible? I don't know. Well, I'll have to go to the council. I'll have to go to the Pimp's Council and sit down with them, and we'll hash it out. Chocolate giddy up. Mo bitches. What were some of the other pimps' names? Chocolate giddy up, Mo bitches,
Captain Kangaroo Pimp.
Captain Kangaroo. Who was in charge of the Pimp's Council? You remember who was in charge of the Pimp's Council?
I know it, but I can't remember right now.
The only one I can always
We said Chocolate Giddy Up,
remember
right?
is Chocolate
No, it wasn't
Giddy Up.
Chocolate Giddy Up. He wasn't in charge of the Pimp's Council.
I don't remember.
If you guys do not know of that of which I speak, then you have obviously not watched Black Dynamite. And you're wrong. But the good news is you have the opportunity to correct yourself by watching Black Dynamite. And somewhere in a box in this house, probably. Jared, do you have a box at your house full of DVDs?
No, but Zach does.
Zach does?
Or that might be in the storage.
Because I'm missing a whole entire box of movies.
Yeah, I was pretty much given the responsibility of movie keeper, so I have a lot of our own movies.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. All right. So after I go to the Pimp's Council and we hash it out, then I'll come back and I'll let you guys know. Oh, that's one of those. You're like, you're telling insider jokes again. Not really. Not really. You either saw the movie or you didn't. And we've been talking about that for a while. So stop acting like it's new. All right, Chocolate Giddy Up. All right. Questions and answers. You got questions. We got answers. There you go. You're listening live. If you're on Facebook or YouTube or Discord and you got a live question, drop it in there. Drop it in there. Okay. Boys, before we get into the bullet points, you have anything you need to say?
Nope.
All right. Well, let's hit it then. All right. Brownell's Bullet Points brought to you by Brownell's, of course. And just in case you missed it, I'm going to remind you. Last week we played a video clip, an audio clip from Pete Brownell, where he was talking about Pete used really nice language, but I'll say the scumbag pieces of human filth that inhabit the federal government, specifically the criminal organization called the ATF or the AFT. Sorry, I had to fix that. The AFT. Don't want to insult Sniffy Joe there. But if you go to Brownell's website, you open it up on the homepage, right below the scrolling banner, there's a little thing called the Second Amendment Action Center. And if you click on that, they will give you some updates, links to take action to. The AFT's comments about the 80% lowers, AFT's comments about braces, the contact your senator about that unconvicted criminal David Chipman, and so on and so forth. And Pete makes or Brownells, I don't know if Pete wrote this, but Brownells makes a great point. You imbeciles in Arizona elected that Democrat scumbag piece of crap Mark Kelly as your senator. What is wrong with you? Actually, I know what's wrong with you. And I know what's wrong with the system. The system is rigged, and the Democrats could run a table lamp, and that person would get elected. That's why Hillary moved to New York to become a senator, because you could run a table lamp with a D behind it, and they will get elected. But actually, they make a good point. Mark Kelly is married to Gabby Giffords, who runs the anti-gun movement. I don't know, citizens who are scumbag Democrats against guns or whatever. I can't remember what the name is. But Chipman is employed by and getting money from Giffords, the wife of Kelly. Is it not an extreme conflict of interest for Kelly to have a vote on this guy who's being paid by his wife? Do you guys not see that as an extreme conflict of interest? Tell me, boys, do you or don't you? You're like, no, Paul, Dad, it's great. It works. It's fine. No big deal.
Oh, yeah, that's a conflict of interest.
Have you ever thought about that, though? And I guess my big question is, where is the fourth estate on this? Where are the guardians of free speech and liberty in America? You know, the people at the New York Times and the Chicago Times and the CNNs and the NBCs, all these people who are the watchdogs for the people. The fourth estate, supposed to keep government honest. Where are they on this? And why hasn't this been brought up multiple times and shown to the American people? You're like, yeah, you know, this Senator Mark Kelly, Chipman is on his wife's payroll. So giving him a vote on this guy's nomination is a serious, hardcore conflict of interest. I would almost say that it's to the point where a judge needs to weigh in and say, yeah, that's a complete and total conflict of interest. Thank you very much to Brownells for pointing that out to us. Now, you know, when we have Brownells bullet points, we tend to talk about gear, right? This is our opportunity to talk about stuff you buy, stuff you own, stuff you bolt onto your gun, stick into your gun, stuff that is a gun. If it can go in, on, or around a gun, Brownells probably has it, right? But here's something I'm going to say to you guys. We got a question here from James Shield. He said, what are some good boots? Okay, great question. And I would say to you, cats and kittens out there in the audience, I know you like to buy guns, you like to talk about guns, you like to take guns to the range, you like to go to the gun shops and this and talk to your friend. But before you go and buy another gun or a polished mag well for your 1911 or an extended slide release or an extended double-handed ambidextrous, tridextrous, whatever, safety for your AR, whatever. Before you buy any more of that stuff, walk over to your closet, open it up, and take a gander at your boots or your lack thereof. Maybe you're a person who wears a tie to work and you have 4 pairs of nice dress shoes. You got the brown shoes that go with the blue suits in the brown belt. And you got the black shoes that go with the gray suits and so on and so forth. And you got all these nice shoes. Do you have a comfortable, high quality pair of boots? When's the last time you bought a pair of boots? You say, I don't have to buy boots. I bought boots 27 years ago and they're good. If they're still good, great. All the guns and gear and ammo and stuff aren't going to do you much good if your feet hurt and you can't walk 100 yards. Because all that stuff's not going to carry itself. What? It's not? What do you mean not going to carry itself? Yeah, that stuff's not going to carry itself. Those things in the bottom of your legs, your feet, you need to take care of those. So I'm gonna hip you guys. So before you run out and buy another gun or accessory or like, you know, the latest, coolest red anodized hollow grip, there's some really interesting things floating around right now. How's that for being nice? There's some interesting stuff out there. Before you spend money on that stuff, and if you already have great boots and great socks and everything, then drive on. I am very, very impressed with the Irish Setter boots, which is a subset of Red Wing. Can you concur, Jared? Would you be willing to concur on that?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I've worn those boots, the Irish Setter boots, in the summer, the winter, through snow, through water, through pretty much all the different kinds of elements that you would encounter out in nature, and they're fantastic.
Rocks, sand, water, snow, mud, everything. They're not technically insulated winter boots, but they're insulated enough to keep your feet warm in the snow and the wet. They are water resistant up to, I don't know, I've walked through snow in them, and I've walked through mud and streams and stuff, and my feet never got wet on the inside. And here's the big thing. I worn them for 12 to 14 hours and then taking them off and my feet were fine. That is a big testament to boots. Can you take your boots off after 12 hours and your feet are fine? And you say, well, I don't need big, heavy boots. I need something lightweight, like a 3/4 boot or a, I don't know what you call them, a tennis shoe type thing. What would you call the Merrells? Hiking shoes? Because they're not really boots.
You know what I'd call them?
What?
I'd call them Special Forces Operator shoes.
Yeah, if you're on Special Forces Operator shoes.
Sorry.
Actually, I've had some people tell me that that their Merrells needed a break-in. They needed some break-in. And I suppose any boot can need, any boot or shoe or footwear or whatever could have a break-in period. The ones that I have, and I shared them with you, are the Moab. They're called the Moab ventilators. Essentially, they're light shoes, but they have a very, very rigid. They have Vibram soles, and if you don't know boots or shoes, Vibram soles are it. The Vibram soles have actually been the go-to boot sole since I was in the Marine Corps. I have a pair of jungle boots that have Vibram soles on them. I used to know seasoned dudes like corporals and sergeants in the infantry would go buy a standard pair of jungle boots and without ever wearing them, take them directly to the boot guy and have him tear off the original soles and put Vibrams on them. Just take those off, put the Vibrams on them. I'll come pick them up in 2 weeks. I'm not even going to put them on my feet until you do that. That is the quality of Vibram soles. So the ones that I've got, I'm pretty happy with. If you don't want to spend the money for Merrells, the next one that I've had good luck with are Columbia's. Columbia footwear. I've had Columbia footwear is kind of like the footwear for dudes that don't want to pay Merrell prices.
Does Danner still make boots?
Danner does still make boots. I've had some good Danner boots over the years. And unfortunately, a lot of the good boots I had over the years, I've just worn them a lot, and they just come apart. I will say this: I don't wear them all the time now, but my jungle boots, I have had those for 30 some years. I think I got them in 89 at the PX at Lejeune, or 89 or 88. You're like, oh, well, you ain't had them that long.
Did you resole them?
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
How many times?
They're on set 3.
3.
Yeah. They're on their 3rd set of soles. And this is when you kids, you Gen Z people are like, what is this guy talking about? Resoling boots. What does he mean?
It's like putting new tires on your car.
Yeah, it's like putting new tires on your car. The car's still fine. You don't throw the car away because it needs new tires. And in America, we used to understand that you don't throw the boots away because the soles wear out. You put new soles on them, and then they're, especially leather boots that are broken into your foot. Broken in? What is this guy talking about? I know. So that is my recommendation. My current recommendation to you is, if you're looking for, and I'm sure you guys out there, you got other suggestions, and that's great. But I'm telling you what has worked for me and what I know is quality. The Irish setter boots are quality. I know that. I'm 2-3 years into wearing those, and I can tell you that I'm very happy with them. If they were going to screw up, they'd have screwed up by now. Oh, what else? What else was I going to say? Oh, the Merrells. Jared's got a pair. Jared and I have the exact same shoes. Only I didn't know that he had the same shoes as me. He bought his 2 years ago, and I just bought mine like 2-3 weeks ago or a month ago. So they're good. They're nice, lightweight.
I love the Merrells.
And then, if you don't want to pay Merrell prices, I would say the next one is Columbia. And the nice thing about those kind of shoes is you pack both the boots and the shoes when you go on a trip.
Yeah,
because
ankle support or none.
Yeah, and you got the ankle support for the field work, and then if you're just hanging around the campfire or chilling, here's what I'm going to tell you guys. We're talking about boots, and recently I bought some boots, and I don't know if I talked about it on the radio. Did I talk about the radio about not being able to find them? I was kind of shocked.
No,
because I was searching for boots, and I went the first place I went. I ordered the boots. I placed the order for the boots, and I got an email 2 days later. It says, "Hey, we canceled your order."
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Like, oh well, thanks. Yeah, those are out of stock. Well, were they out of stock when you accepted my order 2 or 3 days ago? Are you in the habit of just accepting orders on out of stock products? So all right, well, F it. I was going through a wholesaler or a retailer. So I'll just go to the manufacturer. I'll go to the manufacturer's website and I'll pay the manufacturer's price on the website. I go there. They're out of stock too. And I thought, I wonder if this is a trend. So I started going other places searching for boots. I'm on the Danner website right now. The Marine Expeditionary boots. Everything from size 8.5 to size 13 out of stock. What? Yeah. I went to another site and I searched for boots. Out of stock. The trend today, ladies and germs, is if you're looking for boots, all the common sizes are out of stock. Now, this isn't 100% everywhere, but this is America, and it's kind of weird to me. And I've got to think that this is a trickle down from the vid crisis that we created. And remember the shipping container crisis, Jared?
Mm-hmm.
Stuff couldn't be shipped because there weren't enough containers. This is when you say, this is America in 2021. What do you mean I can't get what I need because there aren't enough containers? That doesn't even make sense. Or what do you mean? Sadly, most of your favorite boots are all made in the same factory. What? No, that's not true. Oh, yeah, it is. Trust me, I know. I'm in the industry. Most of the boots are made in the same factories, regardless of the name that's stitched onto the side of it. And so if X company can't get them out and get them made, then Y company's probably not getting them out, getting them made either. The Merrills that I just bought, I bought from a local store. Unfortunately, they were on sale because I saw them and I was like, ooh, I know how much those cost online plus shipping, and that's less. So I said, sold. I whipped out my plastic and I said, sold. You might, if you're looking for footwear, cats and kittens, you might want to take your butt into an actual retail store and hunt around. Jared, do you know the name? I'm trying to figure out the name of our favorite boots. The Irish Setter boots, the brand. Or I know that they're the brand, but what is the actual model of the boots that we're trying to convince people to buy? That's a great question, Dad. And I'm glad that you asked it.
Let me look. I can't remember which ones they were.
I know I can't either. Are they the wing shooter? No, they're not the wing shooter. So I won't spend a lot of time talking about boots, but that is my recommendation to you. Do not neglect your feet before you go out and buy another piece or part or widget or gadget or whatever to throw onto a gun. How about you make sure you have really good boots or footwear? That's what I would suggest. All right, Zach, I'm gonna do a couple plugs. Then you can go ahead and play this week's thing. All right, you don't want to have an ugly gun. I don't want to have an ugly gun. Nobody does. Go to DuracoatFirearmFinishes.com. They have everything you need so that you don't have an ugly gun. It's as simple as that. SWAT fuel. Sometimes you're walking around, and sometimes you got to walk a long distance. You need an extra kick in your butt. You get the 9mm plus P from SWAT Fuel. You use the promo code SOTG at SWATfuel.com. All right. Now is the time that I turn the microphone over to Zachary.
ShopSOTG.com is the perfect place to go if you are a student of the gun. Whether you want to expand your brain, increase your marksmanship, or help keep your family safe. All that, plus the pimp hand brands that you love. ShopSOTG.com has almost anything that an American patriot would want. Education, enlightenment, and entertainment, and we're open 24/7. Check out ShopSOTG.com today and see for yourself.
Absolutely. What Zach just said. Do that thing. All right? And then after you do that thing, come back and talk to me. We'll have a good time. Oh, man. What else is next? What else are we going to talk about? Well, every single Wednesday for the last long time, because I do love you long time. For the last long time, we have been doing this little thing that we like to call the Student of the Gun Homeroom. Get it? Education, homeroom. See the pattern there? That's Dangerous by Madison Rising. Madison Rising, that is the name of the band. The song is called Dangerous, and we have express written permission to use it. Well, why did we use that for the homeroom? Well, because it's sponsored by Crossbreed Holsters, and they want you freaks to be dangerous on demand. You mean like actually carrying your gun? Yep. Like actually carrying your gun on you. I know. Crazy talk. Use the promotional code when you shop at, you can click the link and take it right there. But type in SOTG when you check out. You're going to save money. You're going to get a great holster, a great belt. You're going to be a happy camper. It's all good. All right. You guys remember when a piece of human filth went schizo in a small town in Texas and a couple of American citizens had to grab their rifles and put an end to him. You remember that? Well, I remember it. Well, a federal court has finally, that was 2017, gotten around to issuing their opinion on the situation. And we're going to remind you, in case you weren't here and paying attention, we want you to know. All right, Jared, this is from the Associated Press, apnews.com.
Start your day with AP Morning Wire.
That's right.
Judge. Air Force mostly at fault in 2017 Texas church attack. Good Lord, that was 4 years ago now.
Yep, Dateline, Austin, Texas.
A federal judge has ruled that the U.S. Air Force is mostly responsible for a former serviceman killing more than 24 people at a Texas church in 2017 because it failed to submit criminal history into a database, which should have prevented him from purchasing firearms. U.S. District Judge Xavier Rodriguez in San Antonio wrote in a ruling signed Wednesday that the Air Force was 60% responsible for the massacre at First Baptist Church in the small town of Sutherland Springs. These pop-ups don't stop. I'm going to do things to this internet.
Y'all gonna make me lose my mind.
Authorities put the official death toll at 26 because one of the 25 people killed was pregnant. The attack remains the worst mass shooting in Texas history. It says, this is a quote from Rodriguez. And he says, the trial conclusively established that no other individual, not even Kelly's own parents or partners, knew as much as the United States about the violence that Devin Kelly had threatened to commit and was capable of committing. Kelly had served nearly 5 years in the Air Force before being discharged in 2014 for bad conduct after he was convicted of assaulting a former wife and stepson, cracking the child's skull. Holy cow.
Why wasn't he in prison?
The Air Force has publicly acknowledged that the felony conviction for domestic violence, had it been put into the FBI database, could have prevented Kelly from buying guns from licensed firearms dealers and also from possessing body armor.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a
Rodriguez
good question.
Had
Because
the
this
government
was
done its job?
in 2014, so 3 years. Maybe
So you can commit felony domestic violence and 3 years later not be in prison? Kind of sounds like the justice system failed the people of America.
Rodriguez said that had the government done its job and entered Kelly's history into the database, it is far more likely than not that Kelly would have been deterred from carrying out the church shooting.
Yep.
An Air Force spokeswoman did not immediately return a request seeking comment. I'm sorry, an Air Force spokesperson.
Does it say spokeschick or?
It says spokeswoman.
Spokeschick, okay.
Authorities said Kelly fired at least 450 rounds at helpless worshipers who tried taking cover in the pews. As he left a small wood-framed church, Kelly was confronted by an armed resident who had grabbed his own rifle and exchanged fire with him. Kelly fled as 2 Sutherland Springs residents gave chase and died of an apparent self-inflicted gunshot wound after losing control of his vehicle and crashing. So he's a coward.
Yeah. Last month, the Texas Supreme Court ruled that survivors and relatives cannot sue the sporting good chain where Kelly purchased the AR-556 semi-automatic rifle. Academy Sports and Outdoors appealed the lower case after 2 lower courts declined to dismiss the lawsuits. So, all right. Why did I bring this up? Well, I'm going to bring this up for 2 reasons. Number one, the government cannot and has no desire to keep you safe. Oh, no, the government wants to keep me safe. No, it doesn't. The government wants to control you. That is the end of the story. I wrote a little book called Examining the Armed Citizen, and in that book, I spent an entire chapter talking about how the state uses terrorism and criminal behavior not to keep you safe, but to disarm you and to control you, and as an excuse to take more power and more money. If you have not figured this out by now, you need to figure it out. This incident is one of the reasons that we developed and came up with the Legion of Michael program. The Legion of Michael church security program that we developed a few years ago. It's available right now. You go to legionofmichael.com. I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about it, but the point is this ridiculous nonsense. Well, everyone here has a phone, so if somebody comes in the church and starts doing bad things, we'll call 911. Really? And the police will be here in 5 minutes. And how much damage can a lunatic do in 5 minutes? The answer is a lot. It is up to you. No matter what the state says, they cannot keep you safe. And the truth of the matter is the Supreme Court has actually, and several state Supreme Courts, including the United States Supreme Courts, all of them have said what, Jared? About the duty.
The state, essentially, the government has no duty to protect an individual citizen, but
that's right.
Only society as a whole.
In general. And so on one hand, you have the state, you have Sniffy Joe and all his criminal consorts up there in D.C. who are like, it's our job to make sure that you're safe. So we're going to ban this and ban that and take this right and give ourselves authority that the Constitution doesn't, because we have to keep you safe. And no one in the grand fourth estate, the media watchdogs who are supposed to keep an eye on the government, none of those people ever raise their hand and say, pardon me, excuse me. You said that people don't need these guns because it's the job of the police, ergo the state, to protect them. That's right. Derp-a-derp, Diana DeGette. You don't need guns. That's why we have 911. Not one person in that audience raised their hand and said, so you're telling me the Supreme Court was wrong when they ruled that the state is held harmless for individual deaths? What? What are you talking about? Yeah. The Supreme Court and numerous state Supreme Courts have ruled that the state actually has no constitutional duty to protect individual citizens. So how does that fly with you don't need a gun, just call 911? Yeah, but the Supreme Court actually says, I do need a gun because the police don't have the constitutional requirement to keep me safe. They could be parked in my driveway and I could be inside of my house being murdered. And they just like Pontius Pilate, wash your hands. And they're like, not my fault. In New York City, 2 armed police officers were on the other side of a glass door while a dude was being stabbed. And he sued and said, they stood there on the other side of the glass door while I was being stabbed. And they didn't stop it from happening. And the court said, too bad. Shouldn't have been there. They didn't have the responsibility to stop that from happening. Do what? Okay, you know the Supreme Court case where this came out happened while 2 women were being raped. Like they were kidnapped in their own home and like raped for a day. One of them had called the police and the police came, looked at the house, walked around, said, everything's cool here, and left. And the women were brutalized and raped and they sued. And it got to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court said the police in Washington, D.C., this is a District of Columbia case, even though they were called. See, that's the crazy thing, Jared, and Zach, and the whole audience. You need to know, well, I mean, yeah, if you get robbed or whatever or stabbed or raped and the police, you never called 911, well, there's nothing the police can do, so it's not their fault. Yeah, but what if you actually called for help? The police came, got out of their car, looked around, and said, tell them to count their kids again, and left. That's a little Home Alone reference for you guys there. Remember that? Chicago PD, Chicago's finest? Yeah, there's nothing going on here. Tell them to count their kids again. So the police you can call them and say, help, help. They can come, get out of their cars, walk around, say, everything's fine to us, and leave. And they have no constitutional duty to protect you. So knowing all of this, what is the latest scam by Big Brother, by Criminal Joe, Sniffy Joe and his criminal cohorts in D.C.? Well, we got a story here from
Yeah, happened to me too.
All right. Well, we don't actually even need that story, but we talked about how Sniffy Joe went out to say that he's in order to combat domestic violence and domestic terrorism, they're going to come up with a plan to create a list, a Biden, an enemies of the state list. And we're going to put your name on it because you're a red hat wearing Trump supporter. And we were monitoring your Instagram, and we think you might have been in D.C. on or around the 6th of January. So on one hand, and people said, oh, come on, Paul, come on. So Sniffy Joe went out and he announced the Enemies of the State program on the 25th of June. You say, all right, what's that have to do with anything? On the 1st of July is when Zuckerberg and Facebook launched their Are Your Friends Extremist? Turn in Your Neighbor program. Well, so what? It's just a coincidence. This is me looking at you. Really? Jared, do you remember when we came to this microphone several months ago? It might have even been sometime last year. And I said, and they said, you said, wasn't what we were talking about, how big tech, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, et al., how they're privately owned companies. Ergo, they have the right to silence and censor anyone that they want. And we said, well, you see, here's the deal. The state, the Democrat state, the ruling class state, doesn't have to come up with state programs to censor and silence you when they have someone else to do it for them. When big tech pulls down, censors, and silences the accounts of one political organization, one political party, one candidate, but doesn't the others, that's censorship. But the government doesn't have to do it. They've got plausible deniability. So the ruling class in DC are like, hey, we're all for free speech. We're 100% down with free speech, First Amendment rights. You say, yeah, but your bros in California just pulled Donald Trump's Twitter account, just pulled his Facebook account. The Friends of Trump thing got pulled. You know, what's up with that? Well, no, we can do about it. I mean, we're over here. We're First Amendment free speech cheerleaders, man. And if they just decide to do it, well, they just decided. And a lot of you said, well, I don't know if there's collusion between the Democrat Party and big tech. So the Democrat Party, the ruling class criminals in D.C., on the 25th of June come out and say, hey, we think a big step in curbing domestic violence is for you to turn in your neighbors who, You know, they say stuff. They're like Trump supporters. They have those yellow flags in their garages or in their yards or stuff. You need to let someone know who they are and where they live. And people said, what? The central government doesn't have that authority. So, tick-tock, tick-tock. 6 days later, 5 days later, here comes little Marky Zuckerberg. What did Roger Waters call him? We can't say it because this isn't.
You can't say it on here.
But look it up. If you don't know what Roger Waters thinks of Mark Zuckerberg, just search it out or go listen to the grad program. We'll tell you. So coincidentally, completely and totally coincidentally, after Sniffy Joe and his criminals decide that we need to come up with a program to turn people in who you think could have extremist views. And what are those extremist views? They're talking heads. Well, you know, anything that we don't like. Okay. Do you not yet understand how this works? The Democrat Party doesn't have to come up with official policies and actions to silence you, to create an enemies list, when they have people to do it for them. That is exactly what is going on in the United States of America today. Now, they made a list. Now, we've been told, ladies and gentlemen, we've been told that you should be for mandatory background checks and that private sales of firearms should be illegal. Or private sales of firearms shouldn't be illegal, but they shouldn't be private sales. What do you mean? Well, before you execute your private sale of a firearm, you need to get the government's approval first. Because we need to find out if that person is on a list. Well, this guy in Texas was supposed to be on a list. This guy in Texas was a convicted felon. The murderer in Texas should have been in a prison cell instead of walking around buying guns and murdering people in a church. I want to know how the U.S. government, the Air Force, and they're part of the government, can look at me and say, yeah, we convicted this guy of a felony, but he didn't go to jail. What? So you're out there keeping me safe, right? So it's the state's keeping me safe by creating its lists and so forth. No, they aren't, and no, they don't. The same state that thinks you need to go on a list so they can keep an eye on you, when they absolutely know about the existence of dangerous felons, what do they do about it? What do they do about it? That little crap bag in Florida who was reported to the FBI? Don't got time for that. This guy in Texas, convicted felon. They knew he was dangerous. They knew he was a bad person. What'd they do about it? Nothing. The very last, we're not going to call them Muslim terrorist attacks anymore because that would hurt the terrorist feelings. So we can't do that. But the last Muslim terrorist attack in the United States, well, he was on the FBI's watch list. So what the F good are these watch lists where they know about these felons if they do nothing about it? You see, that's the thing, is they don't care about them. They care about you because you think Donald Trump should still be the president. They care about you because you think the Second Amendment means what it says. They care about you because you think the government should be restricted by the Constitution. They don't care about church shooters, mall shooters, school shooters, because those people all work in their favor. They might as well be their best friends. Because, as they've said, and as they behave, you never let a crisis go to waste. And when a crisis is a school shooter that we could have stopped if we weren't too busy trying to tank Donald Trump's candidacy, FBI, talking to you. The government not only cannot keep you safe, has no interest in keeping you safe. The government wants to control you. That's it. And whatever they have to do in order to gain that control over you, whatever they have to do to get more money and power for themselves, that's what they're going to do. And that's why the Constitution exists, is to stop that. You can either be for the government of the United States, or you can be for the Constitution of the United States. The great thing is, as you listen to my words drip ever so gently into your ear holes, you still have a choice. You can support and defend the Constitution of the United States, or you can become a minion of the state and support them. Go for it. Go for it. All right. Questions, comments, and concerns. Do we have any more?
I'm looking.
No.
I don't think so.
We do not.
All right.
Wait.
No.
Okay,
Nope.
we don't.
That's
Never
fine.
mind. That was a rhetorical question.
All right. If we do not have any more comments, questions, or concerns, I'm going to let you guys go. Yes, I am. So, we talked about good boots. We talked about government lists. We talk about the government cannot keep you safe. It is your responsibility to protect yourself and your family. Take that responsibility seriously or don't. It's up to you. It's up to you. We'll be back tomorrow for a grad program bonus hour, number 1. Actually, I just saw while we were doing the show, I got a message bing, that said another person has signed up for the grad program. So good on you. Good on you. We've got more fun and frivolity for you on Thursday and Friday. If you'd like to join, go to that's GET, SOTG.com, SOTG.com, and sign up. Jared, I see you're looking at messages. Is there anything you want to say before we pop smoke?
No, I was hoping that message that just came in was an answer to my question about the AK Hug Your AK Day, but it wasn't yet. So.
Okay. Well, maybe we'll have that answer on Thursday or Friday. There you go. All right. Until then, kids, remember, you're a beginner once.
You're a student for life.
We appreciate your reviews. If you haven't left a review or updated yours recently, head on over to Facebook, iTunes, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, or your favorite podcast player to voice your opinion. Don't forget to join us at the Student Lounge, a place for like-minded individuals to learn, connect, and support each other. No chicanery will be tolerated. Remember to check studentofthegun.com daily for new, free content and giveaways. Watch, listen, read, shop, and connect at studentofthegun.com. Are you a social butterfly? Connect with us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter for new content each and every day at Student of the Gun. Watch Student of the Gun TV and videos from our trusted partners on Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire TV, Chromecast, and even AirPlay. Go to studentofthegun.com for direct links, and remember, you're a beginner once, a student for life.